Hi, everyone, and welcome to Zone 3000, the company that makes innovations work for you. My name is Irina Smirnova. I'm a marketing director at Zone 3000, and today we have a conversation with Tim Evans, a seasoned business intelligence expert with extensive experience in building BI ecosystems for various businesses. With a background in software development, Tim has spent the past 15 years in web hosting industry, implementing BI solutions that enhance data-informed decision-making. Since Tim is a strong advocate for BI development and the power of data storytelling in business decisions, we will discuss how companies of all sizes, regardless of their technology stack, can adopt BI practices at different business levels. So, Tim, it's great to see you here today.
Good to see you again, Irina. Thank you for having me.
So let's start with the basics. How does BI differ for small, mid-size, and large businesses?
Sure. Yeah, no, that's an excellent question. Actually, while there might be specifics that may vary depending on a variety of factors, I just want to point out the core principles of business intelligence remain consistent across businesses of all sizes, right? So these principles include consolidating and integrating data sources from numerous places into a central data warehouse, making your key performance indicators and metrics easily accessible, and leveraging data to tell meaningful stories that empower companies to make informed decisions and drive improvements, based on that data. Um, it's also important to note that company size doesn't necessarily dictate different BI needs. For instance, consider a multi-billion-dollar enterprise with 5,000 employees that sells software as a service solutions and provides customer support through a variety of channels such as phone, chats, and tickets. This can be compared to a smaller company only generating $2 million in annual revenue with only 10 employees, but they use a very similar set of tools. They offer a similar set of products. In both cases, each business employs a CRM, billing system, phone, chat, ticketing systems, and marketing analytics tools. They're likely going to have very similar BI ecosystems, right? So the size doesn't always matter. These ecosystems would be built with comparable scopes of work and would aim to address similar KPIs and data-driven stories, right? But where BI ecosystems differ primarily probably lies in the scale and complexity of the data they handle. Larger organizations might incorporate a wider variety of data sources and need to address more complex narratives to support strategic decision making. Conversely, smaller business might focus on more immediate operational insights, right? Regardless of company size or industry, though, the key data stories remain quite consistent. Common themes such as financial performance, product performance, customer satisfaction, they're all universally relevant for the most part. The main area where BI practices might differ based on company size is the allocation of resources to use that new BI ecosystem. Larger organizations often have dedicated teams such as data analysts and more resources to invest in BI initiatives with project managers, launching projects to optimize the KPIs based on the insights that they derive from the BI system. These businesses might mature their BI ecosystems more rapidly because, as I've said in the last time we've talked, it's a journey. It's not implemented and it's done, right? We constantly improve and grow our BI ecosystem and its capabilities and the story it tells. So the larger companies with more resources might more rapidly go on that journey and focus on areas such as data governance sooner than in their BI journey than a smaller company. However, I believe that businesses of all sizes can follow a similar developmental path, just at a pace that aligns with their resources and priorities.
Okay, and can business intelligence connect key business units for better decision making?
That's a fantastic question. I'd say actually one of the most compelling value propositions for implementing a robust business intelligence ecosystem. is connecting key business units for better decision making. Organizations that lack a comprehensive BI infrastructure typically operate with data in silos, where each department stores and manages its data in isolation, right? The sales data is separate from the marketing data, customer support data, product usage data, project management data, manufacturing data. Each exists independently without any centralized system for cross departmental collaboration. How many times have you heard sales teams complain that marketing is sending poor quality leads, but without any visibility into which leads are underperforming, the channels they came from, or the specific campaigns? In turn, marketing pushes back, insists on the same quality leads that the sales team successfully had converted in a prior month, right? So integrating data across business units can quickly uncover opportunities, eliminate interdepartmental blame, and foster a unified approach to improving performance. I can provide a real world example of how this works in practice. So, at a previous company, we had several departments: customer support, sales, product, retention, and systems admins, right? So before implementing a BI ecosystem, whenever we experienced a spike in customer complaints or cancellations, it turned into a blame game. So sales would argue that support wasn't adequately assisting new customers, leading to early cancellations and lost commissions. Support would be pointing their fingers at systems for poor uptime and performance, causing customers to leave. Meanwhile, product felt that all the departments were at fault, but had no clear visibility into whether the issues were due to product limitations or not. So once we had developed and implemented our BI ecosystem, consolidating data from all systems into a centralized data warehouse, building a robust data structures for analysis, we were able to generate more insightful reports and real-time dashboards. So this allowed us to pinpoint the exact causes behind customer complaints or cancellations. The retention team was no longer solely relying on discounts or manual interventions to improve retention. They were able to use data to highlight performance issues with systems or customer service gaps in support or misaligned expectations set by the marketing program or websites or the sales agents from the outset, right? So in short, one of the most significant advantages of a well-implemented BI ecosystem is its ability to connect disparate business unit data, enabling more informed decision making, streamlining operations, and driving better outcomes across the organization.
Personally, I can totally agree that data is the great point to resolve marketing and sales conflict. Um, but how can BI help companies run more effective digital marketing campaigns if we are talking about marketing part of the business?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I'm glad you brought it up. I think it's safe to say that most companies use tools like Google Analytics on the marketing side of their business, whether it's Google Analytics or Adobe Analytics, WP Statistics, or even those tools with a combination of other tools like Hotjar and SEM Rush. It's clear that many marketing teams operate in silos when it comes to data. Their focus is often limited to their own funnels, channels, and conversion rates, right? However, what's often missing is the connection to the success metrics of the customers that they have converted. As I mentioned earlier, marketing data is typically not useful when the sales team complains about poor quality leads, right? Um, but what about the untold stories that link marketing channels to future customer success, lifetime value of the customer, renewal rates, and other key metrics? What good is a high conversion rate or a high initial order value if the customer ends up canceling earlier on and you can't recoup your marketing investment that it took to acquire that customer, right? So a robust business intelligence ecosystem can provide invaluable visibility that helps marketing teams enhance their contribution to the business. Let me share a few real world examples of how implementing BI has made a significant impact in this regard, right? So, at one company I was with our new BI ecosystem built and launched. Lead channel analysis was one area, right? So in one case, we identified a specific marketing lead channel that had been celebrated for years as the highest converter and the biggest driver of new revenue to the company. However, when we implemented the BI ecosystem and had that additional insight, we discovered that the customers acquired through that channel, the one that had been celebrated for years, had an 80% cancellation rate after 12 months. And a lot of it was due to fraudulent activities tied to that lead source. So huge, right? That's a huge insight that you don't know from Google Analytics or Hotjar or SEMrush. Another example involved connecting customer churn to specific marketing campaigns and promotions. So our BI ecosystem revealed that a popular promotion, this was a buy the more expensive package at the price of the lower one, right? It was huge. People loved it. Sales agents were able to convert sales a lot with that. People who bought through the website upgraded to the higher plan because they could get it at the same price as the lower plan for that first year. Um, but what they didn't realize at the time was when they'd renew in year two, it was at the price of the higher plan. It wasn't marketed well or explained by the sales rep well. And that specific promotion had extremely low renewal rates in the second year. We actually ended up completely removing that promotion from our offerings because it had a negative return on investment actually. So, and then the third example, finally, we were able to link customer complaints and cancellations to particular marketing campaigns. So this allowed us to pinpoint where expectations were being improperly set, resulting in customers being sold the wrong products, which in turn led to higher contact volume, which costs the company money, more complaints, and increased cancellation rates. So these examples highlight the value of connecting marketing data to broader business success metrics. A well implemented BI system not only strengthens marketing efforts, but it also drives cross functional alignment and long term customer retention.
That's really interesting to see how many surprises can we see
Right.
when trying to use data properly in marketing, and I believe in other departments as well.
Yeah.
Of course, beyond marketing, financial health is probably the biggest priority for any business. What's the role of BI in financial forecasting?
Sure. Yeah, I'd say the difference is substantial. Implementing a comprehensive BI ecosystem, which centralizes data into a unified repository and translates it from transactional database schemas into analytics ready data structures, significantly enhances reporting and analysis capabilities. So, just to rewind for a second, most billing systems that track orders and revenues and related data that the finance teams typically use, those billing systems utilize transactional databases. These databases are designed to efficiently handle financial transactions and customer interactions such as purchasing, renewing, and other activities. However, transactional data structures are not optimized for reporting, and they often lack the ability to capture the full history of transactions or updates to database records. For example, in my experience working with various billing systems, accessing historical data can be challenging, really challenging. One company, the only way we could get historical data was through invoices. Invoice data, which is critical for historical analysis, is often stored in text format. It's not necessarily in a billing system in a database structure. The invoices are created on the fly, pulling information from the database that at the time of invoice, but then they're not stored in historic tables. So as a result, there are typically no dedicated tables or structures to easily retrieve this information from to report on. So in such cases, we had to build a data translation layer to extract historical invoice data from these text-based invoices, pulling details such as product information, customer data, and associated charges, And that's assuming the text-based invoices included unique identifiers like the product and customer IDs, which they don't always have, which makes it hard. So once we established a process for handling this data, we were able to capture transactions in real time and with the system generating the invoices using structured database fields like customer ID and product ID, and translate that data into our reporting data structure. So this enabled us to feed that data directly into our data warehouse in a more structured and actionable format, right? So you'd be surprised how many systems will simply update a database field to a new value and not record the history of those changes. I might be getting a little deep into the geek developer weeds here, but it's just crazy to me when someone updates when a system updates a database field instead of storing the transactional history of those changes. But I worked at a company where the only historical data the finance team had was from them pulling into their own spreadsheets specific data each month that was not stored past that month, or at least not stored in an easily reportable way, right? So they had to refer to these spreadsheets. This is a multi-billion-dollar organization that the finance team is working off of spreadsheets that were so large because they had a new tab for every month with their historical monthly data that then pulled into these bigger trend charts and pivot tables and all that. They had so many tabs that it would often crash the computer of the finance people when I'd have a meeting with them and ask them to pull something up. They'd have to reboot their computer because these spreadsheets were so large. It's just crazy. So with the proper BI and with financial data now organized in these optimized structures, organizations gain access to key metrics and insights that would be difficult to extract directly from the billing system, right? I mean, this includes trend analysis and cross-referencing other data sources, like we've mentioned earlier, with financial data, which is invaluable for financial forecasting. And then take it to the next level. What's even more exciting is the potential for leveraging machine learning models once we've taken all these data sources and consolidated them into the central repository, these better reportable analysis data structures. By applying machine learning algorithms, we can create forecasting models that incorporate a broader range of data points, many of which a human analyst might overlook, and definitely faster. But these models typically result in more accurate forecasting with significantly lower margin of error. Additionally, forecasting can now include insights from other sources, such as customer churn data, upgrade likelihood, and potential add-on purchases from existing customers.
I hope our interviews will motivate companies to switch from spreadsheets to some more sophisticated tools and the right usage of data. Okay, Tim, thank you very much for taking time to talk to us. I hope our audience found some useful insights from our conversation.
Thanks, Irina.
And thank you for watching this video until the very end. See you next time.